Imagine you're having a completely normal day. People are driving to work. Children are sitting in classrooms. Airplanes are crossing the sky. Millions of people are enjoying the warmth of the sun without giving it a second thought. Then, somewhere deep in space, the impossible happens. The sun explodes. Not tomorrow. Not millions of years from now. Right now. Would we see it immediately? Would Earth be destroyed instantly? Would humanity even have time to react? The answer is far more terrifying than most people realize. Because if the sun suddenly exploded, the end of life on Earth wouldn't happen immediately. For 8 minutes, nobody would know anything had happened. And those 8 minutes would be the last normal moments in human history. The star that makes life possible. The sun is more than just a bright object in the sky. It is the engine of our entire solar system. Every second, the sun releases enormous amounts of energy through nuclear fusion. Deep inside its core, hydrogen atoms collide and combine into helium. This process generates unimaginable amounts of heat and light. The energy produced travels across space and reaches Earth. Without the sun, life would not exist. Plants could not grow. Oceans would freeze. The atmosphere would collapse. Every living thing depends on this giant star. In many ways, the sun is the reason Earth is alive. And yet, despite its importance, most people rarely think about what would happen if it suddenly disappeared. Or worse, if it exploded. The first 8 minutes. Here's where things become fascinating. Light does not travel instantly. Even at nearly 300,000 kilometers per second, sunlight takes approximately 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach Earth. This means that if the sun exploded right now, nothing would change immediately. People would continue their daily routines. Birds would fly. Cars would move through traffic. Astronomers would continue observing the sky. Everything would appear perfectly normal. Because Earth would still be receiving sunlight that left the sun more than 8 minutes ago. The explosion would already have happened. But nobody on Earth would know. For 8 minutes, humanity would live in complete ignorance. And then everything would change. Minute 8. Exactly 8 minutes and 20 seconds later, the final sunlight would arrive. Then darkness. Not sunset. Not twilight. Absolute darkness. The sun would vanish from the sky. Instantly. Across the entire day side of Earth. Millions of people would witness something no human being has ever seen. The sudden disappearance of the sun. Panic would spread worldwide. Governments would scramble for answers. Social media would explode with theories. Emergency broadcasts would interrupt television programming. Scientists would immediately understand what had happened. And the news would be devastating. The star that made life possible was gone. The loss of gravity. Most people focus on the loss of sunlight. But another effect would occur at exactly the same moment. Gravity also travels at the speed of light. For 8 minutes, Earth would continue orbiting normally. Then suddenly, the sun's gravitational influence would disappear. Earth would no longer orbit anything. Instead of following its familiar path around the sun, our planet would begin moving in a straight line through space. The same would happen to every planet in the solar system. Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn. All of them would leave their orbits and drift into interstellar space. The solar system would effectively cease to exist. The first day. During the first 24 hours, temperatures would not immediately become lethal. The atmosphere and oceans store enormous amounts of heat. However, the cooling process would begin. Without sunlight, Earth would stop receiving energy. Every second, more heat would escape into space. The sky would become permanently dark. Stars would appear brighter than ever before. The Milky Way would dominate the heavens. It would be beautiful, but terrifying. People everywhere would realize that humanity was facing an extinction-level event. The first week. Within days, temperatures would fall dramatically. Photosynthesis would stop almost immediately. Plants could no longer produce energy. Agriculture would begin collapsing. Food supplies would become a major concern. Governments would likely impose emergency measures. Power grids would struggle under unprecedented demand. Everyone would need heat. The world would become increasingly dependent on artificial energy sources. The rich and powerful might retreat into underground facilities. Others would seek shelter wherever possible. Civilization would begin changing in ways never before imagined. The first year. After 1 year, Earth's average surface temperature could fall below -70 degrees Celsius. Most oceans would begin freezing at the surface. Huge ice sheets would spread across the planet. Entire ecosystems would disappear. Animals dependent on sunlight would vanish. Forests would die. Grasslands would collapse. Food chains would break apart. The Earth that humanity knew for thousands of years would no longer exist. It would become a frozen world. A dark world. A dying world. Could humans survive? Surprisingly, humanity might not disappear immediately. Certain locations could remain habitable for much longer. Deep underground, geothermal heat could provide warmth. Nuclear reactors could supply energy. Some scientists believe underground cities could support human populations for decades, perhaps even centuries. The greatest challenge would be food production. Without sunlight, agriculture becomes impossible. Future survivors would need artificial lighting systems, hydroponic farms, advanced recycling technologies. Every resource would become precious. Humanity's survival would depend entirely on technology. What happens to the oceans? The oceans contain enormous amounts of stored heat. Because of this, they would freeze surprisingly slowly. At first, only the surface would turn to ice. Beneath that ice, liquid water could remain for a long time. In fact, some deep ocean environments might continue supporting life for thousands of years. Hydrothermal vents already host ecosystems that rely on Earth's internal heat rather than sunlight. These environments could become the last natural refuges for life on Earth. Long after the surface becomes uninhabitable. The long-term future. As centuries pass, Earth would continue cooling. The atmosphere would begin condensing. Eventually, gases could freeze onto the surface. The planet would become increasingly hostile. From space, Earth would appear as a giant frozen sphere drifting through darkness. No sunrise. No sunset. No seasons. No warm oceans. Only ice. And silence. The world would continue traveling through the Milky Way as a rogue planet. A planet without a star. Could we find another sun? One possibility remains. Humanity could attempt to leave. Future civilizations might develop advanced spacecraft. Generations could live aboard enormous space habitats. Perhaps one day, survivors would locate another star system. Another sun. Another chance. The universe contains hundreds of billions of stars. Many possess planets. Some may even resemble Earth. Finding one would be difficult, but not impossible. Humanity's greatest strength has always been adaptation. Even in the face of impossible odds. The terrifying truth. The most frightening aspect of this scenario isn't the explosion itself. It's the realization that we would have no warning. No defense. No way to stop it. Everything humanity has ever built depends on a single star. A star located nearly 150 million kilometers away. Every city. Every nation. Every civilization. Every person. Connected to the sun. Fortunately, this scenario is purely hypothetical. The sun cannot suddenly explode. It lacks the mass required to become a supernova. Scientists know that our star will continue shining for billions of years. But thinking about these possibilities reminds us of something important. Life on Earth is precious, fragile, and deeply connected to the cosmos. Conclusion. If the sun suddenly exploded, humanity would not die immediately. For 8 minutes and 20 seconds, nobody would know anything had happened. Then darkness would arrive. Earth would leave its orbit. Temperatures would plunge. Oceans would freeze. Civilization would struggle to survive. And our once vibrant world would slowly transform into a frozen planet wandering through the depths of interstellar space. Thankfully, the sun is expected to remain stable for billions of years. But the fact that a single star controls the fate of an entire planet is a reminder of just how extraordinary our place in the universe truly is. And perhaps, the next time you step outside and feel sunlight on your face, You'll remember that every second of life on Earth depends on a star that continues to burn in the darkness of space.